Welcome to the Unlist. Today we are talking about a phenomenon in the online fragrance community that creates mountains out of molehills, takes average fragrances and turns them into undeserving legends, sought after treasures that they don't really need or deserve to be. Also creates panics. People will buy things that they really had no prior interest in buying. Fragrances in styles they are actually not interested in wearing, styles they typically don't like. All kinds of strange knee-jerk behavior stems from this phenomenon. And that phenomenon is the fear of missing out, or FOMO, as we like to call it when we abbreviate it. So, FOMO, or as I like to call it, FOMO frenzy, hence the title of this video. FOMO frenzy is almost like the online fragrance community's version of psychosis, like a crazy, deranged fever comes over a person when they contract FOMO frenzy, and they start foaming at the mouth, and they get aggressive, and they're just like, and just want to like destroy all opposition and just eat all the perfume like they are Pac-Man running through a maze. Just eat up all the bottles because they're experiencing FOMO frenzy, and they got to have the thing that everyone else is talking about having that's either discontinued or limited edition or some other circumstance is causing it to become scarce or to deplete. And they need to make sure they have not just one, but like 10 or 15. Like they need to make sure they have their share plus the guy's share next to them plus the guy's share next to them. They need to make sure they have their share and enough for the entire neighborhood, but all to themselves. They're not sharing. It's like this strange hoarding sickness comes over the person, and they become like a red dragon that sleeps on a pile of treasure. They're like, I need to run out and get all of these and then roll around in them like, oh, right? And go absolutely nuts for something they've never had any prior experience with. That's the trick right there. The thing that makes it so bizarre is if it was just greed by itself, if it was covetousness by itself, wanting to covet something, I could understand, I mean, I wouldn't agree with it, but I could understand. You are very covetous with X object, whether it's gold coins like a red dragon or something else. But you need to have the thing, you're compelled to have the thing, and all versions of the thing, as many of the thing as you can, right? It's still technically, it's still a psychosis to a degree because hoarding is never good. But at least I would hope it's something that you have a known value for. Like, you know what it is when you're gobbling it up, right? You like this thing. You love this thing. Even though I don't think it's healthy to have too much of something like that, at least you know what it is going into it, right? So I can't necessarily say that you're hoarding said thing without knowing what it is you're actually hoarding. But with the fear of missing out, with the FOMO frenzy that overcomes people in this community, they literally drop everything they're doing and run out and buy multiple examples of a fragrance they've never heard of, a fragrance they've never smelled, sometimes by a brand they're not familiar with, okay? Sometimes the fragrance could be at a price point that's already expensive. It could be a niche or a luxury fragrance, you don't know. But they're going to run out, and completely unknown to them, they won't just blind buy one. They'll blind buy like fucking 4. Just in case. Just in case. I need to go out and this unknown fragrance I've never heard of, never smelled, but all the influencers, all the reviewers, all the people on Base Notes and Fragrantica, everyone's panicking. This thing is discontinued. It's limited edition. It's a seasonal release, whatever it is. I need to run out and just throw like $500 at it, right? Just because I don't want to be left out in the cold. I don't want to be the only cat on the block crying the blues because I didn't get some of the catnip. Everyone else has their pile of catnip, and I'm over here up in the windowsill crying to the moon because I didn't get any. I don't want to be that guy, right? Who cares if it's an aquatic, and I hate those? Who cares if it's a gourmand, and I hate those? Who cares if it's from a house I don't enjoy fragrances from, right? It's like all critical thinking, all logic, all rational thought goes out the window, and like a mindless zombie from 28 Days Later, the fast zombies just like this, run after the fragrance and buy it in like triplicate. Immediately, right now, what are you doing? Go out and buy it. Why are you still watching this video? Go out and buy it, like that. That level of like just irrational, panicky immediacy. Like, and then once they get it, right? Here's the thing. Once they get it, they will inevitably convince themselves it's a masterpiece. They will inevitably convince themselves that it is the best fragrance that ever graced, you know, the realms of gods and men. They will sit there and be like, oh, this is a masterpiece. Oh, I could just drink this stuff like Kool-Aid. I could just fill a bathtub full of it, right? And it could be just some random B tier, C tier level designer fragrance. It could be like a Perry Ellis flanker or something, right? Something really banal. And because it's rare, and because it's discontinued, or it's limited, or whatever the situation is, and they went like a crazy person and bought like 5 of them, you know, now they're sitting there and they're just like, oh, like this. And it's just, I don't get it. I can't. I've tried many times over the years, and I've been in this community for a long time. I've tried for the longest time to try and break down how a person could psych themselves up so bad, right? Psych themselves up so bad that they not only run out and buy the thing without knowing anything about it, just in case, but then when they get it, 9 times out of 10, almost inevitably, they end up loving it like it was, you know, freaking, you know, like I said, like it was blood of the sacrament or something. And I'm just sitting here going, how do you get that reaction? How do you get that level of euphoria from like a discontinued seasonal Zara fragrance or something, right? Like, it's just, it kind of makes me wonder what the psychological profile is, because a lot of people fall for this, and it's not like a one-time thing. It's not a fluke. It's almost consistently happens. You know, a fragrance that might have been just the cheapest, most commonly available, no one cared about it. I've seen many examples of a fragrance that people actively, willingly shit upon because it was cheap. Every discounter had it. Every gray market seller had it. It was in every, like, drugstore. It was in every Walmart, CVS. Taken for granted, completely ignored, nobody cares about it, and then one day it's discontinued. And suddenly that cheap, smelling, crappy, nobody wants that fragrance that like they made 10 million bottles of, right? And it was selling for like $10 at Kohl's or something. The red tag special, like the clearance Walmart stuff with the red tags. And taken for granted. And then suddenly it's like, you know, the blood of the sacrament. It's just, everyone's like this with it. Only because it's not available anymore. Literally the only fucking reason is it's not available anymore. And suddenly it's, like this. And you've got people online just holding bottles of like whatever cheap drugstore fragrance it is, like Stetson Sierra is a good example. Stetson Sierra, okay? It's not even the regular Stetson. It was like a weird polo knockoff of Stetson. It was okay, all right? It didn't smell bad. If you bought it and you wore it, it was, like I said, like a poor man's polo. Had some green, some tobacco, some pine in it. Had a lot more of a fresh sort of typical drugstore soapy quality. It wasn't anything like actual polo is. But it's good enough for government work, right? Good enough for government work. These bottles were $10, $15 for years, okay? This was in every Walmart aisle. Every like dollar store had this. Little cardboard packs that had the aftershave and the fragrance, or it would come in like a variety pack where you'd get the Stetson Sierra, then you'd also get it with like the Gravity and the Preferred stock all together or something, right? The kind of thing you buy and give to an in-law that you see once a year. Just a throwaway gift, stocking stuffer. People were like, yeah, that's like poor man's Polo, don't buy that. Yeah, don't. If you want something that's cheaper than Polo, get Jaguar, get Chevignon, get one of these other fragrances, get Classic Match, okay? People would actually recommend Classic Match over the Stetson Sierra. And that's an actual clone. That's an actual clone. Or the whatever Belcam fragrance equivalent thereof. Belcam's more of a UK thing, but sometimes we get them here. My point is, Stetson Sierra was the furthest thing from perfume art, the furthest thing from culturally or historically significance. It was just another rote, by the fucking numbers, drugstore flanker to a popular drugstore fragrance. We have seen so many of those. So many of those, okay? They're always pumping out. They're still pumping out new Stetson flankers, Stetson Spirit, Stetson Freedom. They're still doing it, okay? It hasn't stopped. But these are really throwaway releases. Now, I'm not saying there can't be hidden gems. I mean, obviously, Avon. I love Avon. Avon has tons of hidden gems. But there is not a single Avon, not a single one, that I would say gives you this orgasmic, life-changing, revelatory experience that will change your life forever, make you, join a convent and, pray to the light above or whatever. It's not going to turn you into like a paladin or something and make you swear an oath to this fragrance to uphold its truth and its honor for the rest of your days. It's not that serious. There's not a single Avon fragrance that would ever make you do that. So, and those are all like immediately discontinued upon release because I said to you before, Avon does like a one batch for most of their fragrances. They make a one batch. That's the only batch they're going to make. It sells out and they move on. Novelty, novelty, novelty. Here's a new fragrance. Buy it up. 6 months later, it's gone from the catalog. It doesn't exist. Here's something else. Buy that instead. Keep switching them out, switching them out. That's how Avon has always been. That's why they have like 900 fragrances. So, but for some reason, the Stetson Sierra became a thing. It got caught up in the zeitgeist. And like these bottles that were like literally everywhere, were now like $70, $100, $150. I was watching people like go three digits deep, the $200s and the $300 range for these Stetson bottles. I don't know about now. Maybe people have calmed down and it's back down to earth now. It's not as expensive. But there was definitely a hysteria for that. At first, like when it disappeared from shelves, there was definitely a hysteria there. And there are some folks who probably made a lot of money. To the detriment of someone else, they made a lot of money, right? They scalped it up. They got that FOMO frenzy. And that's where I circle back. It's a weird frenzy, and it's a behavior that is like anxiety-inducing, panic attack. I'll give you gray hair, give you bags under your eyes just like me, okay? You're falling apart at the seams, heart palpitations, taking the nitro pills, okay? Doctor saying can't have salt now, can't have a lot of grease, you die in your sleep, all that fun stuff. Over some perfume, over some fragrances, because some guy with slick back hair and a nice jacket on is like, this is discontinued and it's a hidden gem. You better get it now because my sponsors told me you gotta buy this thing. Oh no. And then you run out and you buy like 10 of them. Like I said, you go on eBay, you find a seller, he has 10, you buy all 10. You drop like $800 on this thing in bottles. And then you can sit there and be like, with my bottles. And it's like a Stetson flanker. It's a Stetson flanker. Or it's like one of the Perfume Workshop Samba flankers, or it's some random Bijan fragrance. Because, Bijan's got a million of those, too. It's something so stupid. So stupid. A random Curve variety. I did a video on Liz Claiborne. One of those. Curve Sport or something. And some guy with a hat that sticks up like this is like, yeah, this is, oh, a hidden gem. Oh, it's a, you know, looking like this with the hat. And you're going to run out and you're going to buy 20 of them. You're going to buy 100 of them. You're going to buy 1,000 of them. You're going to take your car and sell it and then use the money to buy this fragrance. Because it could be a masterpiece. It could be a hidden gem. It could change my life forever. And that just needs to stop. Okay. Full stop here on the histrionics. That needs to stop. That behavior needs to stop. That is how you end up with sad people that have 2,000 bottle collections and only actually, like, out of those 2,000 bottles, like 100 fragrances. Each one backed up like 20 times. Okay? And they're eating packaged ramen 5 nights a week. Probably have, like, salt levels through the roof. So it's like, what are you guys doing, man? The FOMO frenzy. And I have seen so many fragrances. I've got another example. Vera Wang for Men. Vera Wang for Men came out in 2004. It was the only men's fragrance that Vera Wang to date, as of this video, the only men's fragrance Vera Wang to date has put out. And it's a good fragrance. I own a bottle, right? If you look at the reviews on it, it's hard to tell now because now it's discontinued, now it's a unicorn, but if you look at the reviews on it from the point it was commonly available and back, so let's say 2022, if you look at all the reviews on Fragrantica, on Base Notes, wherever you find your reviews, from like the year of release, 2004, up until about 2022, so didn't quite make it to 20 years, had like an 18-year run. Pretty respectable though, 18 years. Pretty good run. So, but all the reviews, it's very mixed. It's very neutral. Half the people said it was just all right. It was like a sweet, kind of figgy tobacco. It was somewhere in the train of thought of like a Marc Jacobs mixed with a little bit of maybe Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme or something. It's got the fig note like a Marc Jacobs fragrance, but the dusty kind of tobacco-ish, like a Versace the Dreamer kind of a tobacco, that sort of tobacco, you know, mixed with the fig note. And people were just kind of okay on that. They're just kind of okay on that. And it wasn't like some underrated, misunderstood thing. It was widely accepted that it was mid, like the Gen Z kids all say, or Gen Alpha say mid, was widely accepted that it was a mid fragrance. And it was always available. Fragrance X, Fragrance Net, all these other online retailers. It was in every like Marshalls and TK, TJ Maxx and Ross store. eBay had tons of it. Everyone was selling it for like 15 bucks. And it wasn't like it was discontinued stockpile. They were still making it. Like the fragrance went through a couple different changes. Like the early bottles had a wood cap. Then Coty got the license for Vera Wang. And then once Coty got the license, it switched to a plastic cap. But the bottle stayed the same. So, and it sold like that for a while. And they had it in sets with aftershave. They had it in other gift sets. It was actually, like I said, it was the only men's fragrance Vera Wang had. So they sold it for a number of years. Like I said, almost 20 years. So, and it must have sold well enough for them to keep making it, right? Someone was buying it or they wouldn't have kept making it. They wouldn't have kept reformulating and making it. But it was just not a fragrance that a lot of people loved. And it had a very high supply. It was very abundant, very easy to come by, very inexpensive. It was just the Vera Wang fragrance. If you're in a Vera Wang boutique, you know, you're getting a wedding dress or something. That's what Vera Wang does, wedding dresses. And they have like a billion women's fragrances, but you're the husband. You're the husband in there with your wife getting your wife to be, and you're getting, they would pitch the fragrance to the guy. So that's what it was. It was that token thing for the guy to buy, because the guys don't have any other thing to buy when they're in Vera Wang. It's wedding dresses. But, you know, he could get a bottle of cologne and wear it on his wedding day, I guess. So that's what it was. Just forgettable, decent. There are like a dozen other things I could tell you to wear in place of that. If you like that, I could say wear the discontinued Michael for Men, Harry Fremont fragrance, wear like Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. Wear that, much better fragrance. Much better version of the same idea. If you want fig, you really want your fig, well then, you know, you can wear something else too that has fig, and there's plenty of other fig fragrances. Salvatore Ferragamo from 1999. That's a fig fragrance, fig and sandalwood. Infinitely better than the Vera Wang. But the moment the hammer dropped on that fragrance being discontinued, the moment the hammer dropped, someone with a large channel somewhere, or a large profile, or a number of profiles, put on the big stupid hat again like this, or put on the big collars and was like, like this. And then suddenly it was just like, oh, and everyone ran. And like, I literally watched almost overnight. Overnight, I watched this $15 fragrance go zoop 150. Like, everyone on eBay just took and drew a zero like this on the price. It's $150. Rare, discontinued, masterpiece, unsung, you know, hidden gem. Oh, it's amazing. So misunderstood, so bold, so artistic, so perfect. You know, you're not a true connoisseur. You're not a real collector. You know, get out of here, scrub. You're a novice. You got to have the Vera Wang. That's the true enlightenment. It's the Vera Wang. And me and all the older guys who've been around since that fragrance came out, right? We were around in 2004. We were on the internet in 2004. It wasn't Bass Notes, maybe. I mean, I wasn't there yet. But we were on the internet, okay? We were talking. And we're all just sitting here looking at this go on, this hungry hippos, like the chopping at the marbles, the hungry hippos. And we're watching this, and we're just like, this is sad. This is so sad. You can tell anybody that anything is a hidden gem, a treasure, a masterpiece, just because it's not made anymore. And the irony is that it's only because it's not made anymore. Only because it's going away. Only because it's discontinued or limited edition or seasonal, a one-year release, whatever. That's why it's great. So all the other years it was on the market, the other 17 years prior to 2022, the other 17 years didn't count. All the years the fragrance was on the market didn't count. It sucked. It was mid. It was avoidable. It was cheap. Poor, tasteless imitation of something else. All those years prior, it was no good. But the moment it's not around anymore, the moment it became a finite quantity, that's when suddenly it ascended, like it was granted godhood, and it ascended to a higher plane of existence. And suddenly it was just, oh, you know, the whole P.A. Jesu thing where they go bonk with the boards in the forehead, like that. It was like that. And I'm just sitting there going, man, what the hell? So, FOMO frenzy, guys, the fear of missing out. All of this has nothing to do with the fragrance itself, nothing to do with its inherent qualities, how good it smells, none of that. It has everything to do with not wanting to be the only person in your friends group or the only person in your collective that doesn't have something that everyone else has. It's all just a fear of missing out, and it is absolute madness, and you can lead an army of lemmings off a cliff with this. Don't be one of those lemmings, please. Don't be one of those lemmings. This has been the Unlist. Thanks for watching.